testimony. I now recognize myself for questions. And I sort of apologize in advance because for the sake of time, I'm going to ask some questions where I really just want a yes or no answer, and I would appreciate it because we're really interested in process here. So yes or no, did the AFT consult with the CDC on its February 2021 operational strategy for school reopening?
We consulted with the CDC.
Yes or no? It's yes or no, please.
Mr. Chair?
I'll get to the, let me ask the questions. Please, I'm
Sure.
respectfully asking you, just answer yes or no as I'm going through the process. My next question is, since you did consult with them, what did that consultation look like?
Oh, I see what you're saying. I'm sorry, sir.
Yeah, what did the consultation look like? Did the AFT first engage the CDC, or did the CDC reach out to you?
So what essentially happened, sir, was that we were talking to the Biden transition team before he was sworn into office.
Okay.
And we...
Did they reach out to you?
Yes,
CDC?
they reached out. No, the Biden transition team reached out to us.
Okay.
And
did that include the next CDC director?
not...
Or anybody who went to work for CDC?
You know something, I don't want to speculate. There were lots of meetings with lots of people
Fair
on
enough,
Zoom.
fair enough.
I don't know.
I get that.
I just don't know.
I understand that. When was the first time you engaged with CDC in any way, shape, or form directly?
The first time was when they asked us to do the Zoom. I think the first time, look, I'm 65 years old. I don't remember everything anymore. I'm sorry. I think the first time was, remember the president was...
I guess really the only question is, did they reach out to you or did you reach out to them? Because I know they asked for guidance from many organizations.
They reached out. My recollection is that they set up this January 29th half-an-hour conference call.
Okay.
That's my recollection.
And again, yes or no, did that include any direct interaction with CDC Director Walensky?
Meaning, did I talk to her directly?
You or your staff?
That day, we talked to her directly.
Okay. And so that was via Zoom at that time?
Right.
Later on, were there emails, phone calls?
I think there were a couple of phone calls, but what there also were, and I wanted to just correct the record on this, sir, what you may not have asked us for is on March 23rd, 2021, we've actually had several public letters with the CDC, including March 23rd, 2021, where we actually talked about how we understood their change in terms of social distancing to 3 feet. So we had several public letters to the CDC because we wanted to be transparent of everything that was going on.
So again, yes or no, but did AFT ever provide suggested revisions to the CDC's operational strategy regarding school closures or reopenings? Did you suggest revisions to their operational strategy?
What we suggested, sir, was ideas.
Okay.
They asked us for ideas.
Your letter to the subcommittee said that the AFT proposed a handful of edits to the operational strategy. Is that right?
What happened was there was one particular edit that they accepted. There were several different ideas that we proposed. The edit that they accepted was in the, if I may explain or no?
Yeah, go ahead.
They asked us in the January 29th meeting, and you, from your document request, as you know, we provided documents including all the emails back and forth between and amongst staff, our staff. They asked us for...
Well, I want to get to the point, I guess. We know 2 of the proposed changes.
Right.
Work from home options for teachers with high-risk conditions, and that if a new variant arose, that the guidance may need to be changed. Well, so with that, and again, yes or no, were these proposals accepted by the CDC?
Well, the one proposal that was accepted during the, if I may explain, during the meeting on the 29th, we raised several different issues. We had seen all the former
Were they
Trump
accepted
guidance.
Or not? I mean,
What was...
It's no question. When you
Right.
made these proposals, the two I suggested, were they accepted by the CDC?
The proposal to have at-risk, first off, the second proposal was not made on January 29th.
I didn't
The first,
say that.
Sorry, the first proposal about at-risk immunocompromised workers, and not that simply that they would work at home, but there would be accommodations for people who are at risk, that proposal was accepted.
Okay. Now you've answered my question. Thank you.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm just slow.
If a new variant arose, that the guidance may need to be changed. And then, really, what else did AFT propose? I mean, I mentioned those two that I know of. Were there other proposals that weren't accepted?
Yes, several.
And the proposal about a new variant arising, that the guidance may need to be changed, was that accepted?
So what we asked for was because there were new variants
Right,
that
I
were starting
understand.
to
We all know
happen.
there were new variants.
So
I'm
we
asking,
said-
was the proposal accepted?
Yes.
Thank you. So before the operational strategy was finished, AFT advocated for a school closure trigger. That's the word in your documents. On January 29, 2021, in notes prepared for you before a call with the CDC, your staff recommended pushing the CDC for a trigger stating, we need an objective metric for closure, ... Then on February 11, 2021, following the need to push on a closure trigger, a member of the AFT staff emails Director Walensky directly and says, we must, however, urge inclusion of clear closure triggers in the imminent guidance. Again, on February 11, 2021, in an email from your staff, they state, our emphasis will follow Randy's statement, push on needing a closure trigger. Then in a February 12, 2021 email from you to members, you mentioned the CDC did not install a trigger, stating, while the CDC guidance does not contain a closure trigger, the guidance indicates schools may temporarily close to in-person learning. In that same newsletter, in bold font, the CDC is not mandating the reopening of schools. Why was that in bold? Why was that to be emphasized?
So which of these questions do you want me to answer?
I'm asking, well, I gave statements that we have
Right.
documents on. What I'm asking is why was that statement in bold? The statement that says the CDC is not mandating the reopening of schools. Why would that be in bold?
I have no idea.
Thank you. Usually means some type of emphasis, I would think, but you don't.
I mean,
recall. You don't recall. That's fine. By this point, though, schools.
Sir, what I did was, if I may, the document I did write was our press release that day, which you're not referring to, where I said that the CDC has met fear with evidence and that we were embracive of the fact that they had clear science-backed evidence so that we could actually reopen schools more forcefully than had happened before.
Yeah, by this point, schools had been shown to not be a driver of community transmission. Children were not nearly as at risk as the elderly. Children rarely transmitted to adults. But despite all this science, AFT still wanted to install some way to automatically close schools, which deviates from the narrative of doing everything we can to get them open.
Well, actually,
I haven't asked the question.
sorry,
yet.
I'm sorry.
At any point in 2020, after science became clear, did the AFT push for a trigger to open schools rather than the clear push to have a trigger to close schools?
Yes, I did, sir. In fact, at the Cuomo Commission, which was in my testimony, the only commission that I actually sat on myself, we had triggers in that commission. And the reason we were asking for triggers, which is what the WHO had, about 9%, Cuomo Commission had 5 to 9%. The reason we were asking for triggers was for the same reasons as you were complaining about the CDC's February 2022 guidance as well, because we thought that what they had done with these 3 different tranches was confusing to people. We actually just wanted.
So I thank you. Is
we
this
wanted
committee-
we wanted a number because most of us are not scientists. So we wanted a number. And then let me just address, if I may, what you just said about community versus school. I assume.
No, let me.
I'm sorry.
I appreciate that, and we have your 25 pages that you sent us and all of that, and we've got a lot of people to get to on both sides of the aisle.
But you just raised the issue, sir, about school versus community, and I think you're talking about the 2 studies. Are you talking about the Wisconsin study and the Massachusetts study?
Well, we do have studies that we have documented.
Right.
I'm not going to go into those all right now, but the fact of the matter is you were in your communications that we have now. There is discussion to that regard. And
but
so
may I clarify,
say,
sir?
Here's what I would like to do. You referenced the Cuomo Commission or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I would like for you to present that to us, because I could not find anything where teachers, or the AFT at least in particular, through these communications with the CDC, and that's what we're talking about today, the communications with the CDC, not the Cuomo report.
So, sir, you asked me the question.
I'm not
about
asking
what
you
the
a question
AFT
right now.
did.
Please.
I'm sorry.
I will let you finish. Today, I'm asking you about your communications with the CDC. This is a process problem. This is a process concern. I didn't see anything in that talked about opening. It was only metrics for closure. That's the point. That's why I'm asking those questions. So if you did something later, not necessarily with the CDC, I would be glad to review that as part of the record for this body. I really would. And I think that that's fair. So at this point, I now recognize the ranking member, Dr.